All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're exploring the really provocative ideas of Terence McKenna from his book, Food of the Gods. His whole argument is that our history, our consciousness, pretty much our modern crises, it's all tied to our relationship with psychoactive plants. So what if the story we tell ourselves about drugs isn't just about abuse, but about a deep, forgotten partnership?
And that's really the central question McKenna wants us to ask. He's suggesting that our connection with these substances is way more complicated than we think. It's not just a modern problem, but maybe, just maybe, an ancient partnership that literally shaped us into the species we are today.
So McKenna's whole theory really hinges on this one core concept, the idea that for most of human history, we existed in a state of symbiosis with certain plants, a partnership that we've totally forgotten.
I mean, you see this kind of thing all over nature, right? McKenna brings up leafcutter ants. They can't live without this one specific fungus they farm. It's their only food. And in return, the ants basically give the fungus the perfect home to grow and spread. It's a total win-win. And his big idea is that humans once had a very similar deal going on with the plant world.
Okay, but this is where it gets really interesting. McKenna makes this super important distinction. It's not like the relationship a clownfish has with an anemone. That's hardwired, it's in their DNA. Our relationship with plants, he says, is what he calls a deep habit. Think about your first cigarette or even your first cup of coffee. Your body probably said, "No, get this out of here." But we make a conscious choice to keep going, and our bodies actually adapt, both in our behavior and our biochemistry, until we form this new partnership that we come to expect.
So this leads us to the first of two cultural paths that McKenna lays out. He calls it the partnership model. And he argues that this was our original state of being, a culture built on symbiosis with nature and with each other, often with a little help from hallucinogenic plants.
So how in the world did this partnership even start? To get at that, McKenna proposes his most famous, and let's be honest, his most controversial idea, the Stoned Ape Theory. It's a huge speculative leap for sure, but it's his way of trying to explain one of the biggest mysteries in human evolution, why our brains got so big so fast.
As you can see here, the theory basically goes like this. Our primate ancestors move out onto the grasslands of Africa, and what do they find? Psilocybin mushrooms. Now, at low doses, he suggests these mushrooms actually made their vision sharper, like a pair of chemical binoculars. Better vision meant they were better hunters. Better hunting meant more food, which meant healthier babies and a better shot at survival. It's a straight-up evolutionary advantage for the mushroom-eating apes and their kids.
And he argues this isn't just some wild guess. As this quote gets at, he points to real, physical evidence, these incredible prehistoric rock paintings in Algeria. These images, thousands of years old, show shamans dancing around with mushrooms in their hands, mushrooms literally sprouting from their bodies. It suggests a culture where mushrooms were deeply, deeply important.
But then, according to McKenna, everything changed. With the invention of agriculture, humanity's basically abandoned that partnership model and took a sharp, hard turn onto a totally new path, what he calls the dominator model, a path defined by hierarchy, control, and a whole lot of ego.
And his prime example of a dominator drug is alcohol. You see, for thousands of years, we drank naturally fermented stuff. But then, as this timeline shows, we figured out distillation, and suddenly we could create these incredibly potent, concentrated, and super addictive spirits. For McKenna, this was a huge shift. It turned a sacred drink into a tool for control, an engine for empire.
And wow, this slide just lays it all out, doesn't it? The difference between these two mindsets is like night and day. On one side, you have the partnership psyche. It's fueled by things like mushrooms that dissolve boundaries and ego. It's all about the group, about nature. Then you have the dominator psyche, fueled by ego-pumping substances like alcohol. It's all about hierarchy, control, and it actively pushes away nature and emotion.
Now, McKenna takes this argument even further. He claims this whole dominator model got baked right into our biggest institutions, especially Western monotheism. In this quote, he's basically saying that the ideal of God became the ultimate projection of a power-obsessed male ego, totally cut off from anything feminine or natural.
Okay, so you have these two completely opposite paths, and eventually they're going to crash into each other. For McKenna, that collision is our modern crisis.
He points out the complete hypocrisy in how we think about drugs today, and this table just makes it so clear. You've got tobacco, which is as addictive as heroin and causes millions of deaths, and it's legal, subsidized, even advertised. Then you have heroin, which he notes doesn't actually cause organic damage to the body, and it's aggressively illegal. For McKenna, this proves our drug laws aren't about health. They're about dominator values and control.
But his most scathing critique, the sharpest one, is saved for a drug that isn't even a chemical. He says it's the ultimate dominator tool. As he puts it right here, it was an epidemic that spread faster than any religion and made more converts in less time. That drug? Television. An addictive experience designed to create a passive, easy-to-control population. So, what do we do? Where do we go from here? Well, McKenna's solution isn't to just go back in time. Instead, he calls for what he terms an archaic revival, a deliberate, conscious effort to bring that lost, boundary-dissolving partnership perspective back into our modern world.
His modest proposal, and yeah, it is pretty radical, is a plan to try and heal this broken relationship. It's not a free-for-all. The main idea is to shift from punishment to personal responsibility in education. He suggests legalizing all natural plants, slapping heavy taxes on those dominator drugs like alcohol and tobacco, and pouring money into real research and education. And, so importantly, treating addiction as a public health issue, not a crime, a conversation that is, very much alive today.
Which really leaves us with this final question to chew on. Is McKenna's archaic revival a real path forward, a way to heal ourselves and the planet? Or is it just a romantic dream about a past that's gone for good? That's a debate that is definitely still raging. Thanks for joining this explainer.